Hello and welcome to my home office, also known as my bedroom. My name is Jeffrey Lloyd, and well, today I wanted to talk to you about something that, I don't know, maybe it's controversial, maybe it's not, but it's something that's really honestly helped me become a better photographer, and that is ignoring all color. Alright, thank you, that was a good video, and we'll see you next time. So actually what I mean is shooting more in black and white. It's kind of something that's falling away a little bit in any realm other than portraiture in terms of, well, really where you see it. It still happens in wedding photography and portraiture, headshots, it's still a big thing, but for me, shooting black and white is kind of looking at the other side of photography. Photography has sort of the two heads of the same coin, and that's, to me, color and black and white. And I'm not talking about shooting a photo and then going in and then like dragging the color all the way down. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about literally going into your camera settings and switching the color palette, if you will. I can't remember the exact technical terms because, well, my brain's blanking. The AEB? Well, either way, whatever you want to call it, actually shifting that from, auto or whatever custom settings you have and actually switching it over to monochrome. For anybody that doesn't know what that means, it essentially tells your camera to only capture black and white and on the grayscale. You might be thinking now, why in heaven's name would I ever want to do that? I mean, it's summer right now, it's beautiful, it's green outside. This person has blue eyes, I want to show that. Well, personally, I think it's something that really kind of helps you learn where light comes from. A big part of photography is lighting. Anybody that has any experience at all shooting any type of photography, well, you'll know that bad lighting is bad lighting. It's not fun to shoot in, ever. That's why we have flashes, that's why we have strobe, that's why we have studio lights, that's why we have external lighting that's not the sun. But the nice thing about shooting in black and white is you don't see any color. Now I know you're thinking, well, yeah, duh, it's black and white, there's no color. But what I mean is you don't see any of the color temperature differences in the lights. So like, even in this frame right now you can see, so I have this lamp right here, and that has an orange shade around it, and so that emits a very warm light, where this light that I have here, giving me this nice Paramount lighting, is very cold. It's basically because it's a cool temperature bulb with a white diffusion in front of it, make it nice and soft. And so these two lights, they have different color temps, and so it looks very different. But when you flip it black and white, which like I'm going to try and do to my screen right now, you can see you kind of lose that difference in color temp, and it just looks like nice, even lighting all the way through the frame. Now see why that's important is because it also helps you look and find where the light is coming from. It helps you highlight, okay, this part of their face is in shadow. So like right here, I have a Paramount set up, so it's coming straight head on, so there's a nice little shadow right here. It just helps accent that more. So with that kind of in your mind, you can kind of tend to pay more attention to, where the light's coming from and where, what light sources are doing what, especially if you're in studio. If you have your own lights, or you're in a studio where you're using lights, maybe you're a student, maybe you're not, you can do this at home with a lamp. I've done it with lamps before, it actually works really well with lamps. Put your camera on black and white. If your camera has a live mode, a lot of newer DSLRs do. Nikon, Sony, Canon, they've all got it. Fuji, whatever you shoot on, probably has some type of a live mode, unless it's a little bit older camera. But you can turn that on, and if you set your camera to monochrome, the live view will actually be in black and white. And so what you can do is then you can just move that light around your subject, different angles, higher, lower, you can see, and you can actually change and witness how that goes. But part of the other reason why you want to shoot black and white is you can definitely see, where those shadows go, because they stand out a lot more, because instead of it being different shades of green, if there's a tree on the grass and it's a light shadow because of where the sun's at, it's not very harsh, it's a little bit higher up, you'll see that difference because it'll look gray on a different shade of gray. It's going to be a lot more easy to tell than just green on green. Now, personally, I love black and white photography. I really do. My favorite portraits I've taken have been in black and white. And that's not necessarily because, I can't handle color temp changes, or, I don't like editing or anything like that. But that's one reason, is if you don't like editing your photos as much, I've always found that black and white photos typically don't need quite as much post-production, because you don't have to do color temp. You don't have to do, oh no, this light was slightly different and now I have to try and balance these two because they're 100 Kelvin off. You don't get any of that. And so the main, post-production stuff is either touch-ups or, adding a little bit of contrast. Really, those are the main things. And sometimes you don't even need to do it. Sometimes it's just a solid enough photograph. You just straight out the camera, boom, that's done. Light's nice and even. That's it. Light's nice and even, and I like the way it looks, and that's good enough for me. So, if you're a new shooter, or you're someone that just really doesn't have a ton of experience with a camera in general, one thing that can help you get used to using those camera settings as well is shooting in black and white. Because, well, you don't have to worry about white balance. You don't have to worry about the color temp of anything that you're shooting. That all goes away here in black and white. So if you're really something that you just want to learn your camera better, shooting in black and white is a good way to help, get that practice. So now if you are someone who, is a little bit more experienced, and so you're like, well, I don't necessarily need to learn how to use the lighting or the camera settings, stuff like that, I still recommend doing this, because honestly, changing from black and white and color and flipping between those two is a really good creative switch. Challenging yourself to only do a shoot in this. So, if you're an engagement photographer or a wedding photographer, I don't recommend doing this for a client, but, get a friend of yours that you like shooting with. Do an entire session, maybe a mini session, but do an entire session in black and white, and then see how that compares with what you normally do. How does it change? Would every photo, would it look different if you only shoot in black and white? It's just a nice creative switch to mix things up, and especially if you feel like your job's getting a little bit too stale, like you're like, oh, I go to these same locations every time. I know exactly how it's going to look at this time of day and this time of day and this time of day. This is just an interesting way to switch it up, because it makes you kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit. It makes you push from like, okay, well, the light might look like this, it might look like that. I don't know. We'll find out. Well, that's really all I got for you today, but if you like the video, let me know, and I can put out more stuff like this. If you have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and leave a comment, or you can shoot me a message over on Instagram. I'll tag myself down below so you can find me. And yeah, thanks for watching. Keep your eye out for more, because I'm going to try and get pretty consistent about this, so we'll just kind of look forward to seeing you in the future. And hey, my name is Jeffrey Lloyd, and have fun shooting.